Welcome to the 2022 SOMWR PWA Cabo Verde Pro. We have moved locations here. We are midway through the double elimination here. This is a three-man heat. We are dropping into Josh Angulo, Juban, Takara Ishii. Decision was made to move here because Punta Preta has completely stopped braking. We are now basically on the remnants of this particular swell. It's turning back into wind swell, and we are at Trasleo, aka Secret, aka Little Hukipa. That's a very good view of it, as you see. It certainly bends the wind swell very effectively, as you see Guilloul in the distance and Alibaba middle peak there. And what this does is it gives you kind of a wind swell refraction zone bay, if you will, that is very receptive to the conditions we have right now. And Juban is in your screen there in the middle, zoomed in. He's on a ride, and this is the middle peak that they're judging. The middle peak goes into the lower bowl, and that wave actually didn't quite eventuate into anything. This heat's been on for a little bit. And CV1 Angulo, I remember right at the beginning of it, was on a really good one. His Amigu one-handed air came out. So these are the kind of things you're watching, people trying to do one-handed stuff, and rotations have been on tap as well. Reporting Ricardo Campello is also marching his way through the double here. He just made it through a really tough clash involving Swift and Fernandez. And it was Campello and Fernandez advancing out of that heat. Definitely some notables having been knocked out in this double elimination already. Yesterday we lost Philip Koster, and today the likes of Graham Ezzy have already bowed out, and Swifty unfortunately also joins that list now. These are all heats within the top 16, so equal 13th and such places are basically what the riders will have. You're looking at Angulo on a bit of a upper-lower bowl peak, and he's setting it up, you know, showing the intensity to ride, but even a wave that doesn't break overhead high down there, can't do much with. But Juban also upwind of him, and you see him at this proper peak. This is really kind of a wave that we like to sail a little bit further up. So what Juban's doing is he's waiting for the wave after this one you see on the screen, and you see it's kind of a wind swell line, so it's a shorter period now. That's a non-competitor. That's Juban. Here's Juban. One more bottom turn, one more cutback. This thing's going to go into the bay. You'll outrun this whitewater, and it'll open up as an oncoming left. Juban bounces the whitewater. Josh Angulo behind him. Floater line to a little high line. He's going to use the board speed more than his sail's going to give him the momentum. And he goes for like a drifty lip hit. Angulo is fully aware of who he's competing against. And there is Guilloul in this heat, but he has flown home to Morocco. And basically that leaves this as a three-man heat. Quite shortly, we will be sailing the other heat in this bracket, and what will happen is you will have your heat for the top 8. Getting down to it for the round of 16 here. Little Hukipa, aptly named, but maybe not accurately named. I tend to think that Trasleo is what I like to call it, or Secret was what I always heard. And I didn't really, know about the Secret, but it's kind of a place that's interestingly named because most secret spots have this kind of holy grail mentality, and this place does actually on its day get quite good. It's a rare combination of things that make it go to a really big level. Usually this is your daily driver spot. This is the spot that you're able to sail when there is no ground swell in Cape Verde. This is where north wind swells will come in real nice. This place likes an east wind, and also really likes some tide. This can be a very difficult place to sail when the tide is low. So we've moved competition. This is the final day of the 2022 SOMWR PWA World Cup here in Cabo Verde. And I feel that we are looking at going round by round. And this is the top heat of the third round of the double. Heat 26, I believe. Taking a look at the drone angle, you do see that some of these longer lines are actual ground swell lines coming in, but the wind swell mixes in, so it's kind of a target-rich environment, if you will. Juban is setting up shop on a very, very good-looking offering. Behind him is Ishii. You can definitely see that getting on waves here is just as important as it is at Punta Preta. Juban, bottom turn, cutback combo, full head of steam into an executed goiter. Goiters are at play here, and you see how the wind angle facilitates that a little bit more than the taka. That was a goiter by Juban. Takari Ishii goes for the goiter. Does he have the make? He does not. Angulo, watching both those attempts and not having the goiter in his arsenal, jibes out and knows he's going to go with the meat and potatoes, lip hitting, one hand splitting routine. Last day of competition here. Bant Rodinger sitting in first place. Marcilio Brown behind him. In third place is Thomas Traversa. Fourth place, Antoine Martin. But right now we are a ways away from that heat. This is Josh Angulo, CV1, defending his home turf. The one sailor from Cap Verde to here come here and defend. Josh is perked up. He's not ready to bow out of this yet. He wants the final. And even he would tell you he'd rather it was at Punta Preta, but that don't matter. He'll go anywhere and compete with anyone, anytime. Anytime, baby. Takara Ishii put a good contest together no matter what happens in this heat. Solid sailor, well-rounded sailor, great competitor. He's been busy in the double because he lost early, so that means that he's got a lot of sailing to do to get back into the top 8. And, it's about the money. It's about, dividing people into different groups of, amounts of money. The difference between finishing, 13th and 5th is pretty big. It's a couple grand. And definitely with the points as well. Don't forget about points. This is for World Championship points here. Camille Juban on the heels of pulling a goiter. Getting busy with the rail work. Nice little tweak twerk. And done with the scoring. The likelihood of going all the way through the double is there because these are 22-minute heats. Exactly half the time that competitors had yesterday. And that's making a difference because that's allowing us to kind of roll through this. And I'm sorry that we don't have a ticker or scores because this isn't live either. This is me talking into a mic, and you guys are going to be watching this later. But tell you what, it's all being brought to you with the intention of you being able to follow what's going on at home. Camille sails out in front of Josh, clears the way for Angulo to take a look at this. Gets his wraparound turn, sets himself high up on this nice shoulder high wave. Angulo heads to the lower bowl. Full speed, gets the slashy turn and digs rail. Leaving the door open for Ishii, but Josh Angulo's broken his mast. This is a disaster for Angulo. A complete catastrophe has just befallen CV1. A blown cutback leads to a broken mast. Angulo will be dealing with that. Again, I don't necessarily like focusing on people's misery. This will be something that unfolds over some time. Hopefully, Josh has a spare rig. That mast, I have to say, broke for basically no reason. I'm just saying. I don't know why it had to break with that. He bogged a turn, and I think sometimes when you point the mast towards shore, when it's how shallow it is, you pogo stick it into the reef. That's exactly what happened. Because the board is floating more. So once you've faced your mast in, snap. Takara Ishii, one-handed goiter attemptee. No. Try again. He is fully aware that the door is wide open. Angulo has scores. And then right now I would assume that actually he's ahead of Ishii, which is all that it needs to be. There's your spare rig. Full preparation, 253s if I understand correctly. Those duotone rigs do look nice. Here goes Camille Juban on his S2 sail and AV board. And you see how this wind swell 1-2 punch. Short troughed waves offering you the opportunity to go down the line, especially if you're upwind like that. And Juban goes rotational. And that was more of a kick-out move, apparently. Or how it ended up anyway. Conditions are going to hold here. It's 1:10 in the afternoon. And we're bringing it to you from the middle of the island. There is Sugi shadowing Ishii, his good friend who he travels with across the world, competing against the world's best. You know, I'll say that between Ishii and Sugi, Japan's never looked better for a world title. Absolutely true. These guys are a couple notches away from, you know, being right up there with the heavy hitters, and in some cases right up there with them. And this is one of them. This levels the playing field for just about everybody. Josh Angulo heading back out. CV1 on a 5-3 duotone. Here comes Camille Juban with the lineup to himself. Taking advantage, Juban. High boom. Gives him a lot of leverage to get off the board. Take your board weight. Cut it in half. Juban goes for the goiter again. No make. Here goes Ishii. This is danger for Angulo because he looks like he's got a full head of steam on a good wave. Bottom turn, Ishii waited a little too long at the lower bowl. Gets the projection. That was a good hit. Nonetheless, 2 hits. And he's way down low. That's all he's going to get. There's no more to do than just sail upwind a little bit. Angulo on an ankle biter, and he knows he needs better than that. Kicks out. Get out of there. Last day of competition here. 2022 SOMWR PWA Cabo Verde World Cup. Thank you so much to our sponsor, SOMWR. It's raising our awareness about plastic pollution, plastic use, minimizing it, revolutionizing it. No contest stickers, cotton jerseys, just for starters. Green flag still flying. We're probably about 5 minutes left in this heat or something. Angulo wasted about 5 minutes of that 22-minute heat switching rigs. His body of work's basically one really good score and one pretty good score. Since the mast break, nothing really of significance. But here comes Angulo, just playing position, getting on anything that can move. He's in a heat, and you never know. You know, this is the historical thing about it to me, and the significance of it is, you know, Josh doesn't compete full-time. It's been years since Josh competed, let alone here in Cape Verde. And I just, you know, I want to emphasize that, you know, nothing lasts forever, and these careers have, you know, historically gone, you know, the way that there's always a moment where, you know, you realize that might be the last heat you sail. And I'm not saying Josh is done competing and he's got more in him. But you never know. Maybe he doesn't feel like sailing anymore in heats. And, you know, I heard Graham Ezzy just now talk about how this wasn't working for him, and he doesn't want to, sell heats professionally or follow PWA, do something a little different. He announced that right to Rich Page. And he might change his mind, and it might, take having a session here at Little Hokipa, trying to grind out some points in a heat to get to these conclusions, and people might change their minds if it was 8 for Punta Preta. But the point is, making the decision to compete's one thing, and then going out and doing it is another, and you're feeling, about how competitive you are and how much you really want to do it are two others. But I'll tell you one thing. Josh has enjoyed every single moment of this contest. Make or break. There is no pressure. He's enjoying it. And he's doing it because he loves it. And he loves being a part of the mix. And he loves the fact that we're all here to share these moments with him. Just like Camille Juban's here sharing this heat with Josh. They're competing against each other, but, they're out in the same heat. This is a moment in history either way. And I do think that Josh is probably still looking good to advance in this heat, but it's going to be up to Takara Ishii to upset that balance, because he's starting to move a little slower and get a little less interested, and that has a little bit to do with the conditions. And Takara hasn't really had the best heat. And right now, my impression right now is that it's Josh and it's Camille.